welcome to a new episode of our program, The World Today. We will be bringing you the latest on the local and international scenes, as mentioned in the headlines of the local and international press. And we're glad to have with us in the studio for more analysis on these headlines, Mr. Yehia Negm, political analyst and former diplomat. Mr. Yehia, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Today we will be discussing the latest developments in Egypt, where the committee will begin voting on the constitution, and also police starts hunting for the church killings. Later in the program we will be discussing the latest developments in Syria and the meeting of the international backers in Geneva conference. And also we will follow up on the tense relations now between the United States and France after the U.S. spying. We will begin the first headline from Egypt Independent, and we read, Committee of 50 begins voting on the Constitution. Mohammed Salmawi, spokesperson for the Committee of 50, announced the commencement of the second phase of the constitutional amendment procedure, in which the committee would vote on the articles that the drafting committee had completed. The vote will be held in closed-door meetings and limited to the core members only, Salmawi said at a press conference on Monday. He added that Committee Chairman Amr Moussa agreed to involve the reserve members if necessary. We will brief the public of the results in daily press conferences. So, Mr. Yehia, how far do you see the developments in drafting the Constitution until now?
Well, first let me congratulate our viewers for the feast of the last week. Then regarding the Constitution, the committee of the 50 had a few months ago working in this draft. It was very busy with the hearings of the public. Many sectors of the public life went to present their views, their opinions in the assembly of the 50. I think they heard a lot of opinions. They heard a lot of sectors of different life, fields of the life, Egyptian life. So I think they have now more or less the core or the main concept of the Constitution. I think they are working now on the wordings or putting the main ideas in the Constitution. I think it was generally agreed that they should write a new Constitution with a new spirit, representing the new Egyptian revolution of the 30th of last June. So I think there is a wide agreement about leaving apart the old Constitution and write a new one with new articles, with new spirit. Yes. So they were hearing, they are now drafting. I think they should, of course, as they said already, they should present their work to the public, maybe daily, maybe weekly, and at the end they should, of course, consult more or less the main sectors also once again before putting them it for the referendum.
Voting is a very important step. Yes. Does this mean that the differences over the disputed items now has been solved? I mean, the articles related to the army budget, Minister of Defense, also Article 219. Do you think that voting means that these articles, they reached a consensus on what they should be on?
Well, this is a very good point. I don't think it's agreed already over all the articles. I think the differences will continue to be present in the discussions. I think they are working on primer draft with primer ideas. It's like a mediation between the different ideas, trying to drafting an article. It's not easy because they heard a lot of opinions, but I think they are working about the main ideas, the main spirit of the Constitution, and we will see if they are succeeding in this mission or not. It's very important, and I think the public opinion will affect once again the drafting of these articles before concluding the final draft.
Yes. And also some analysts criticize writing a whole new constitution
Yes.
instead of amending some of the articles.
Yes.
How do you see this point of view?
It's a matter of difference between many people. I think the presidential declaration decided that they should amend the previous constitution.
But if the amendments are more than 50%, for example, if
Yes.
it amounts to a 75%, then it's better to write a new constitution.
This is the dilemma. They have talked about putting a new presidential declaration, putting a new one, instructing this committee to make a new constitution. I think I heard many opinions as well, so I know that the main spirit in the street that they should draft a new constitution.
Yes.
So far, we didn't see them working on this publicly, but I think that if they would amend the old one, I think it will take a lot of work, because a lot of articles are in this situation of deep differences between the public opinion, as you have said, about the army, about the treasury, about judiciary. There are many, many views. I think
Yes.
we need transparency more than anything in this drafting.
Also, drafting the constitution and reaching this step of voting is something which most of the Egyptian citizens have been waiting for, because it will have a very important impact on shaping the future of the Egyptian democracy and going to other steps towards building the country's institutions. At the same time, we have been witnessing everyday protests in different universities, governorates, and in the streets. How do you see these two maybe contradicting things, one a sign of stability and the other one a sign of instability? And at the same time, what's the impact of writing the constitution amid all this?
Well, we are seeing a very deep division between different parties in the political arena. It's not easy for the normal people in the street to see and to watch this dilemma. Some people want to go ahead with the future. Others like to drag us back and to draw us back to the past. It's a philosophical maybe problem. I think, but at the end of the day, the spirit of the revolution, the spirit of the young people in Egypt who led to the change of regime in 30th of June would be the victorious one in this battle in our society. I think drafting the constitution would be a very huge step towards stability, but I think also the government is very responsible about what's going on now in the streets. This instability,
Yes.
the people need and want the government to act firmly to apply the law in the streets.
This brings
Yes,
me to
in
my
the
next
university.
question.
Yes.
We are in a status of emergency,
Yes.
and we have an emergency law.
Yes.
Some are saying that during this very sensitive period, protests should be banned, even the peaceful ones, because it appears that currently there are no peaceful protests and they are all turning violent in one way or another.
Yes.
How do you see this opinion, especially that we are now also discussing the law organizing the protests?
Well, before I came here, I was discussing this matter with a lawyer who told me that in spite of that we have now an emergency law, nobody was arrested with this law.
Yes.
So far. We don't have a political detainees in Egypt yet with this law.
Yes.
So government is working inside the frame of the law, which is very good. But I think the people want more firmness in this attitude.
Yes.
The people want to see an end to this instability in the street, violence in the street, violent protests in the universities. People want to study. The people want, the students want
Yes.
to study. The people want to work now in the street. We are with the right of manifestation, but we should limit this with the freedom of the people, with the desire of the people to continue their daily life without fear, because ultimately these protests were marked by violence all the time. People are afraid to go on the street. People are afraid to
Yes.
send their children to the kindergarten or schools. It's very uneasy sense of life in Egypt right now. So
Yes.
we want the government to act firmly, but also to maintain the frame of the law and sovereignty of the law.
And now we move to another headline from Arab News, and we are still with developments in Egypt, and we read, Egypt hunts for killers in church wedding attack. Police were hunting Monday for attackers who killed 4 Copts in a shooting spree at a church wedding in the first assault targeting Christians in Cairo since the ouster of Egypt's Islamist president. An 8-year-old girl was among those shot dead at the Church of the Virgin in Cairo's working-class neighborhood of Al-Warraq, while 17 others were wounded in the late Sunday attack, officials said. Witnesses recounted how celebrations quickly turned to horror as the attackers sped towards the wedding party on a motorbike, sprayed the crowd with bullets and fled. One worshipper, Ayman Musa, said there had been no security at the church since June, despite several attacks against Copts around the country in the wake of President Mohamed Morsi's July 3rd ouster. This incident that took place on Sunday night, it appears, of course, to maybe the ordinary people and the normal citizen that it targeted the Copts on purpose, of course, in order to have maybe some problems or international condemnation of what is going on in Egypt. How do you see this incident, and are we expecting similar incidents in the future?
Once again, let us present our sadness and condemnation
Yes.
to this kind of blind violence against all the Egyptians. This is the dilemma, this is the contradiction inside Egypt. We celebrate the feast, but also we are very sad because of the last yesterday or the day before yesterday incident against this church, which, as you said, it was not targeting the Copts. It was targeting all the Egyptians in Egypt.
Yes.
We are not accustomed to this kind of incidents. Attacking a church is like attacking a mosque for us, for all Egyptians.
Yes. And also there were Muslims injured in this incident.
It is the same. We are all Egyptians, no matter Muslims or Christians. This incident has no religious aspect. It's not act of even revenge, because they didn't, the Copts didn't attack or didn't make any trouble for anybody.
Yes.
So it's not religious, it's not a revenge, it's not a humane incident.
Although the Muslim Brotherhood, they tried to explain what happened as it was a revenge for the bridegroom or something like that.
No, it's not a revenge. It's a blind violence. It's a stupid and crazy violence against all Egyptians, whether they are Muslims or Christians. This is the most paining incidents in the last few days. 4 people were killed, 17 were injured,
Yes.
Including some innocent children.
Yes.
We are very sad. I think all